It's that time of year again when you start thinking about electrical contracting. By that I mean Christmas lights or holiday lights. If all goes well, you're the envy of everyone else on your block or apartment complex. That is, if your light strings cooperate with you and want to light up. A few things could go wrong. Let's see how you could solve those problems. If you plug in your lights and they don't light up, you can take some steps to see why they're not lighting. Not necessarily in any order, but some things are easier, quicker, or may seem more obvious. Step 1. Flip the switch. Your outlet, whether interior or exterior, may be controlled by a switch. There may be nothing wrong with your lights at all, but they won't light up if the power isn't going to the outlet. So look for a switch, usually but not always nearby to the outlet. Reset the GFCI, especially if outdoors. Your outlet may have two little buttons on them called test and reset. If you see that the reset button is pushed out, then the breaker has flipped. Press in the reset button and turn it back on. If it works, then the lights should light up. If the reset button pushed out but won't stay pushed back in, then the GFCI is faulty and needs to be replaced. For that, you should call an electrician. Look for tripped breakers. The outlet, whether inside or outside, may also be on a circuit where the entire circuit has been turned off by a circuit breaker or blown fuse. Look at your electrical panel or fuse box to see if any of the breakers are switched to the off position or loosely in the middle, and then turn it back on. A warning here is that the circuit breaker tripped for a reason, so if it trips again, I would just leave it off and call an electrician. Test the outlet. Another way to test the circuit is by using an outlet tester at the outlet or receptacle. Look on the side of the outlet tester to see which lights should be lit up and in which configuration to see if the outlet is wired properly. In this case, 2 lights means the outlet is good. The outlet may be wired improperly or there may be a loose wire. If you're not comfortable or qualified to replace this receptacle, call an electrician. You could always try a different outlet. If you do, only use one extension cord, one rated for outdoors, and use the proper length. If you do connect, make sure you don't connect 2 or more extension cords where it would be wet. So if all of these are fine, the GFCI is fine, the breaker works, and the outlet is wired properly, but the lights still don't turn on, then the problem is likely with the light string or one of the bulbs. The next step is to check for missing or loose bulbs. The bulbs on most strings are wired in series, meaning that the power goes in a chain from one bulb to the next. This is especially true for the older incandescent bulbs. If one bulb is missing, loose, or broken, the circuit will not be complete, and then none of the lights on that circuit will light up. Missing or cracked bulbs should be easy to spot, but you'll need to be a little more patient to be able to push each bulb in to make sure it's seated in its socket properly. Some modern LED light strands have a shunting mechanism, so if the LED burns out, the circuit will continue to the next. In that case, most of your LED lights will be working, but you might find one burnout bulb. You should be able to replace that bulb. LEDs can burn out just like incandescent bulbs. An incandescent bulb is a little easier to spot because you might see a smoky or a dark mark on it if it's burned out. An LED light bulb may just appear normal but just won't light up. One strand may have more than one circuit, however, so you might find that one part is unlit while the other parts are lit. So that means that obviously there's a problem on the unlit strand. In that case, just push in all the bulbs in on that strand to see if there's any broken bulbs or any missing bulbs. Push in the bulbs. Larger bulbs may be in the screw-in type and you just have to screw them in tight. While you're at it, check for damaged wires. If there's a damaged wire, the circuit won't complete either. Don't try to repair this because you could just have an arcing and cause a house fire. These lights aren't that expensive. If you see a messed up wire, just toss it and buy a new one. You could also test the string or strand fuse. Right by where the plug is, you'll find a very tiny fuse which might be blown. If the extra bulb pack that came with the lights came with an extra fuse, just replace it. If you don't have an extra one, you can test with a multimeter by putting the multimeter on the continuity setting and testing leads on each side of the fuse. You should hear a beep. if the fuse is good. If you don't, then the fuse is blown, and then you'll have to either get another fuse or get another strand of lights. You could also use your multimeter or voltmeter, including a contactless voltmeter, to test if the power is actually going to the string. If the outlet is good, then the power should be flowing all the way through the string. If a bulb is bad, the circuit should stop right at that bulb. You can test the outlet at the end of the string with probes of a voltmeter, or better yet, test different sections with a contactless voltmeter to find which part of the string is bad. With a contactless voltmeter, you can wave it near a wire or touch the wire, and then if there's 120 volts going through it, it will light up and beep. This is a little tedious, but you can test each section to see where the circuit stops, and then you'll know where to zero in to find your problem. And finally, you can use a Christmas light tester. They're about $22 or so. It's a special tool that checks each bulb, and it'll tell you if the bulb is good or bad. Personally, I would sooner just buy a new string of lights than check each bulb like this, but it's up to you. Bonus safety tips. Don't forget to be safe. If you're going up a ladder, save the spiked eggnog for afterwards. Never work around electricity under the influence. Be sure the ladder is leaned properly using the 4-to-1 rule, secured properly at both feet, and the ladder where it's leaning against. Never lean and reach, always just go down and move the ladder. If you're installing lights around a tree, use an A-frame or folding ladder rather than lean an extension ladder on a tree. When connecting anything to lights, whether it's outlets or lights to each other, be sure to connect them completely. House fires can happen sometimes from loose connections causing arcing. Never install lighting in wet weather. And finally, if you're uncomfortable with any of this, you can always hire contractors or handymen or handywomen to install these lights. Have fun, good luck, and have a very Merry Christmas.